How's it going, everybody? I wanted to make a how-to on bleeding the Avail Hydraulic Clutch on the CRF 110. As you can see right now, I've just kind of got it prepped, and this is the way that I do it. So normally I will add like a shop rag over the tire to avoid any brake fluid getting on the tire, and I'll add kind of a bib with a shop towel or a shop rag underneath the master to catch any of that fluid that comes out. Also, I will add a shop rag on top of the rear brake or the pegs to catch any fluid that's going to come out. A tip that I've learned in preparation is to have the bars turned to your right so the master is the highest point in the system. So this is how I prepare. I will leave the bottom banjo bolt cracked. That way the fluid can just flow down with gravity and the air comes up. So that's how I prepare the bike before I start doing anything. Alright, so after I've filled the system and have just left this loose so that fluid flows out on its own and gravity pulls the fluid up, or the air up, I'm sorry, and the fluid continues to come out. Once I'm satisfied that fluid's coming out freely, I'll tighten this up so it's a sealed system. And I will actually just kind of do this trick that I found that helps. So I'll just sit here and flick this like this, and what happens is the air and the fluid will exchange places. So the air is going to come up, the fluid's going to go down, and in here there's a one-way seal, and air is obviously going to get stuck there. And when you exercise this, you're going to see a whole bunch of micro bubbles come out. You can see there's a couple. It's hard to see on mine just because my line was partially filled. I'm just kind of doing some service. Basically, I'll just do this. I'll exercise the lever, and continue to do this. Now, I did notice a big help is doing this while the bike is running. The vibration will actually loosen the bubbles inside the line. I'll just kind of shake the line. I'll do this until I see no more large bubbles or clusters of bubbles coming out. Again, there's a couple that I just loosened up. So yeah, with the bike running, just kind of tap this, exercise it until you don't see any more bubbles coming up. That'll get a large portion of the air out of the system. Alright, so I've bled this about 5 or 6 times and I'm pretty satisfied with where it's at. This is about how much play I have before it starts engaging the clutch with the master, or it starts giving me resistance. And as you can see, this is about as full as I can get it with it turned to the side. Absolutely, again, do not let this go dry while you're going through the bleeding process. Otherwise, you're just going to push air into the system. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the bars level so I can fill this up and get the cap on. And then seal up the system. So generally what I've found after the first ride or so, especially after putting the cap on, you'll feel an improvement on the actual handle. I think what happens is, with the turning and everything else, it jostles any air that might be left in the system, and it brings it up to the master. But it's good practice just to, after your first ride, or, you just go around the block or whatever it is you want to do, just to crack the cap, make sure the fluid's not too low, maybe bleed the system once more, but you should have a really good feel in your lever. So just a quick recap before I wrap it up. You're going to hang the system, leave the banjo bolt cracked so the fluid goes down, air comes up, let the fluid come out on the rag, seal it up so it stops dripping once you're satisfied with the fluid coming out. Flick the handle, let the bike run, try and get as much air out of the system as you can before you start the bleeding process. Pumping it 3 times, holding it and cracking the banjo, and then resealing it. I think overall I had about 15 to 20 minutes in the whole process. May take a little bit longer with a completely dry system. You'll know if there's air between the slave and the banjo or the cover if you can hear like a swishing noise, like the bubbles going back and forth. You'll want to continue bleeding down here until that's gone. But otherwise, I mean, you'll have to continue going back and forth between cracking the banjo and exercising the handle until all the air comes out. You know, run the bike, give it a ride. The feel will get better after the first ride, and you can completely get the air out. You know, reseal the whole system, and you know, hopefully you're satisfied. You know, future state, I'd love to add a way to bleed this whole system a lot easier, but obviously this is kind of a system that this is the best I could do with the space given. I didn't want to take up too much space where the ankle or the boot is. It works great if you can get it bled right. I know it's difficult, and I'm sorry guys, but this is the best solution I have at the moment. But I'm looking for feedback. I love to hear from you guys. I want to continue supporting the community. So if you have any questions or any feedback, I am more than happy to hear it. Hopefully we can continue developing this kit. So thank you again. I hope this helps, and have a good one.